Ladies and gentlemen,
Hello,
the one and
Sebastian.
only Matthew Hill, que les cuento.
Hello, Sebastian.
Les cuento antes de saludar. Let me say something, Matthew, before I talk to you. Matthew estuvo en San Isidro hoy y estuvo en Palermo el lunes y el domingo. Yo no sé si se enamoró de nosotros, pero bueno. How are you, Matthew?
I'm going very well, Sebastian, and hello to your listeners and viewers. It's great to have met you this week, and what a fantastic country you live in, and I love your horse racing. It's been fantastic to watch it over the last week, and the Carlos Pellegrini was a great race, and you've got a lot of excitement over here, which is fantastic.
Dice, let me translate your answer, Matthew. One second. Dice que bueno, que está disfrutando mucho de estar su tiempo acá, que tiene una atmósfera y unas carreras hermosas acá, que estuvo todo el fin de semana disfrutando de eso. Así que bueno, y además agradece poder estar con nosotros y poder conversar un rato. Matthew, let me show to the people your call at the Gran Premio Carlos Pellegrini last Saturday. Do you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Oh, okay. Let me show to the people your call.
Okay.
Les voy a mostrar, chicos, el relato que hizo Matthew del Gran Premio Carlos Pellegrini. Para los que no lo vieron, obviamente pueden apreciarlo. Obviamente lo hizo en inglés. Los que necesiten algún tipo de traducción, yo prometo que se los voy a pasar. O que se los voy a intentar explicar, porque hay algunos detalles que da Matthew que terminan siendo muy interesantes. En un momento, él dice, el código is under pressure. Él ya está viendo que va a haber algo de lucha. Obviamente después termina siendo un final espectacular, donde él arranca los gritos, pero ahora no lo puedo encontrar. I can't find your call, Matthew.
That's okay. Well, I'm sure many people, if they can speak English, will be able to find it on YouTube. But the nice thing is, Sebastian, it's obviously Carlos Pellegrini is a very big race in Argentina and in Brazil, and countries like Paraguay, etc., Uruguay, Peru watch the race. But the great news is for Argentinian racing, is that it's also sent to Hong Kong and North America, and also people in Australia watch it from a long way away. So in the world of horse racing that's become so internationalized, it's really nice to know that the Carlos Pellegrini is joining that list of races.
Dice Matt que lo más importante, al margen de poder encontrar el relato, que ya lo tengo acá, I find it, and I'm very happy about that. Habla de que lo más importante que le justamente haber sido parte del simulcasting internacional, de haber sido llevada para Hong Kong y de haber tenido obviamente una audiencia por encima de la que tiene habitualmente. Matthew, let me put play and show to the people your job. It's okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bueno, lo vamos a escuchar a Matthew Hill, que es la voz de la Melbourne Cup y que el último sábado en el hipódromo de San Isidro relató justamente la prueba magna que tenemos en el continente. Así que los dejo con la narración. Esperemos que salga todo ok. ¿Dónde está? Acá está. Go. No. Al revés.
The field ready, stalls are back and away and racing, and Steve Kevchuk and also Ready Knights both began pretty quickly, and over towards the inside Endeavour is showing a little bit of speed as well, and it's just going to tuck in behind that early speed, and also Grezzo is pushing up in the early strides as they settle down, and there's a clump of 3 or 4 going forward. El Provocador is also pushing up on the outside of Grezzo. So Grezzo and also El Provocador is next on the outside. inside. They were followed about 3/4 of a length away in the field by Forrest Gump, who's tucked away behind those. El Código has got to about 7th or 8th in that early part of the race, and also Acento Final has got through to sit 3rd on the outside of Forrest Gump. They were followed a length and a half away by Crazy Talent, who's in the top 6 or 7 as well. They were followed by Honest Boy out deeper on the track, and also Mozzo de Bar. So it's Grezzo the leader, and there's no speed here leading from El Provocador the outside. Then Forrest Gump, Acento Final, Mozzo de Bar. Crazy Talent behind those, and they were followed by Honest Boy. In between horses, Endeavour, and there's out deeper on the track El Código, who is about 4 or 5 off the lead, about a length and a half away. Don Ferres, Intense for Me, then came back in the field as they run off the back section. They're halfway through. Springbake Jazz Seaver looking for a few towards the back. Ready Knights is a long way back in the field, and also Pepe Joy is out towards the rear as they come up towards the home corner, and the Brazilian runner Cold Heart's about 5th last on the inside. Coming around the turn at the 800, Grezzo is the leader, leading out from Acento Final, and they were followed by around the outside, running on here is Honest Boy. El Código still got about 3 lengths to pick up. Under pressure, Forrest Gump, and then came Endeavour behind those, and right down the outside, Intense for Me is starting to come on with a big run now. So as they reach the 350 metres, it's El Código and Intense for Me on the outside. Then came Don Ferres from a long way back too. 200 metres to go. It's El Código about 3/4 of a length in front. Intense for Me is trying to pick it up. El Código, Intense for Me. Don Ferres is still coming. It's going to be a big finish as they hit the line. It's a hit bobber. Intense for Me. Intense for Me has won it from El Código, and Don Ferres 3rd in what was a magnificent finish, a grandstand finish to the Gran Premio Carlos Pellegrini International.
Yeah, what a finish.
And what finish? Tell me, what do you feel about this finish, Matthew?
Well, Sebastian, I think the 3 horses that fought out the race obviously were expected to be up there, but you couldn't be disappointed with the 3 horses that finished 1st, 2nd and 3rd. I had the pleasure of meeting Martin, the winning rider today, and that was just a beautiful ride on Intense for Me. He gave that horse every chance. The second horse was obviously drawn barrier 20, so had to get some cover in the windy conditions and didn't. Sat 4 wide, no fault of the rider, and was so brave. And then the third horse from Peru, Don Ferres, you could argue was very unlucky. So the first 3 across the line were fantastic, and it was just a great race. And that's what you want with these feature races, those great finishes. And I'm sure you'll agree, Sebastian, it was memorable, wasn't it?
Lo que le pregunté a Matthew fue qué sintió en este final, y él dice que obviamente los 3 caballos estuvieron a la altura de las circunstancias, que en el caso del Código, largando 20, tuvo que hacer un esfuerzo muy grande, que lo de Intense for Me obviamente fue realmente buenísimo, que hoy pudo estar con Martín Valle y hablaba sobre el fantástico trabajo que había hecho, y lo de Don Ferres obviamente llegando desde Perú, teniendo también una performance realmente remarcable. Le pedimos a la gente, I ask for the people, Matthew, to send you questions, because someone didn't know about the horse racing in Australia, so maybe they want to ask, or of course about your life. Le decía a Matthew que si ustedes quieren enviar preguntas sobre cómo son las carreras en Australia, o obviamente sobre su vida en general, también tienen la oportunidad de poder hacerlo en este momento. Le voy a preguntar a Matt sobre qué piensa sobre el hipódromo de San Isidro. ¿Por qué? Porque la estructura de los hipódromos en Australia son más de formato americano que de formato europeo. Matt, what do you think about the track, San Isidro? Because he's more than European style, and the racetrack at Australia maybe got an American style. What do you think about the stretch? How long is the stretch?
Yes, so in Australia, our longest stretch is Flemington, and it is about 500 meters. So San Isidro is a lot bigger, and its circumference is actually bigger than Flemington, which would be our biggest track in Australia. So I was absolutely blown away by San Isidro. In fact, I didn't get a great opportunity on Sunday with all of our work for the Carlos Pellegrini to see the track. So I went today just to have a really good walk around and had a really good look at every single part of the race course. I think it's a fabulous race course. It's got a great, it's got charm about it. It's got romance about it as well. You can feel when you're there that there's so much history and that so much has taken place there. And it's obviously the spiritual home of horse racing here in Argentina. So I adored the place. I thought it was fabulous, and I loved the fact that the field you get at San Isidro is different to the field that. Yeah, so I was just saying, I think I had an interruption there. So I was just saying that Palermo, a different feel altogether, and but a great feel, a bit more relaxed, I think, than San Isidro. But no, I thought the track was fantastic, and as you explained to me, the Carlos Pellegrini very much inspired by the Arc de Triomphe in France, and with the one turn for the 2,400 meters. And I think it's a great thing for the race. It's a great spectacle and always very competitive.
Dice Matt que lo que le pasó el sábado fue lo que le pasa a muchos de nosotros, que es que por todo el trabajo que tuvo es que no pudo ver mucho sobre el hipódromo, pero que hoy aprovechó para volver a ir y ver que es un hipódromo que obviamente tiene mucho romanticismo, tiene mucha historia, que literalmente le voló la cabeza justamente el hipódromo de San Isidro, que también pudo estar en Palermo, que ve que tal vez el hipódromo de Palermo es un poco más relajado, pero que por una cosa que yo le comenté, que él no deja de ver en San Isidro una estructura muy parecido a Longchamps y al Arco del Triunfo, que es obviamente de donde salieron los modelos que luego hicieron justamente de nuestro hipódromo del Jockey Club. Matt, I got a couple of questions for you. The people write and write and write, and I want to know about you and your job. Do you know how many people are watching your call at the Pellegrini? Pregunta Hugo Feracci.
So back in Australia, it would have been sent through very early in the morning, and actually in Australia, we'll actually see the last 2 or 3 races from your programs in our morning. So the Pellegrini may have actually been missed. It may have actually been races 14, 15 and 16 sent through to Australia. But more importantly, the race was sent to Hong Kong, which is very, very important. People might not be aware that in Hong Kong, there's only 2 race meetings a week. So the people don't have a lot to bet on over there. So for Argentina to have their race bet on in Hong Kong would have been very, very successful, and will bring some good money to Argentinian racing, which is a great thing. And then, of course, you've got that audience in North America. So I think what's important is, even though the Carlos Pellegrini is predominantly battled out by local horses and Brazilian horses, etc., from Peru, Latin American horses, that it gets some sort of acknowledgement around the world, because it is in the top 100 Group 1 races in the world, and it's an iconic race in an iconic racing country, and it deserves to sit up there with all of those famous races. You think about Melbourne Cup, Grand National, English Derby, Kentucky Derby, Dubai World Cup. There's some great races around the world, and Argentina should be famous for the Carlos Pellegrini International, and hopefully with your work and the work from San Isidro's race club, that they can keep doing that, particularly to Hong Kong, as Hong Kong has established what's called a world pool, which is just very, very large. A lot of money goes into that betting pool, and Argentina should make the most of that.
I never worked so much, about that. No. Thank you for your words, but I know. No, not too much. Él hablaba sobre el trabajo, luego después venía el chiste, porque no puedo evitar hacer un chiste. La pregunta de Hugo Feracci era ¿cuánta gente en simultáneo estaba viendo el relato del Pellegrini en inglés? Él dice que no tiene cifras sobre la cantidad de gente que estuvo en Australia, pero fue muy temprano en la mañana, por lo que seguramente mucha gente se lo perdió. Que sí, se sabe que se jugó mucho en Hong Kong, siendo la primera carrera de una semana de carreras en Hong Kong, donde hay solo 2 meetings. Hay nada más que 2 programas y uno de ellos fue encabezado justamente por el Pellegrini en Hong Kong, y que también en Estados Unidos, por tener un horario más accesible, es que se vio muchísimo, que lo más importante es justamente que tuvo una cartelera norteamericana, australiana y de Hong Kong, una de las 100 carreras más importantes del mundo, en una línea con el Grand National, o sea, como parte de ese grupo del Grand National, de la Melbourne Cup, y que bueno, que lo más importante es justamente esa difusión que se le pudo dar. Matt, no tengo idea, ahí está. Luca Di Claudio pregunta, how many racetracks are in Australia?
Oh, that's a very good question. We have a lot. So we obviously have, where Australia is a very big country, but it's separated into states and territories. So in Victoria alone, where I come from, there are 60 racetracks. And then the next state above that, New South Wales, would have about, I'd say 100. Queensland up above that would have about the same. So to answer the question, and I don't know the exact answer, but I would say I'd be confident to say probably about 400 to 500 racetracks in Australia. But we have 4 main racetracks in Melbourne, and they are Flemington, Caulfield, Sandown and Moonee Valley. And then Sydney has 4 main racetracks themselves, which is Randwick, Rose Hill, Warwick Farm and Canterbury. So they would be the main racetracks that you would hear about from overseas, particularly Melbourne with Flemington and particularly Sydney with Royal Randwick.
Bueno, let me translate. A la pregunta que hacía Luca de Claudio, hay 60 hipódromos solo en el estado de Victoria, que es donde vive Matt, que él aproximadamente cree que hay entre 300 y 400 hipódromos solo en Australia, y que la manera que tienen de trabajar, como era la segunda parte de tu pregunta, Luca, es todos en simulcasting. Es todos en simulcasting, que está dividido el país, si bien es grande, termina siendo una estructura que funciona todos en simulcasting. Let me help with this, Matthew. There are Australia A, Australia B, Australia C, and Australia D every day.
Yeah, we race every day, depending on whereabouts in the country. But our main day is Saturday. Everybody has the races on a Saturday. So our best meeting for the week is definitely on a Saturday. And then our second best meetings on a Wednesday. And then your C and D meetings are on the other days. So Saturday day, big day. Wednesday, second best day, and then the rest is just normal racing.
Ok, y habla en cuanto a la estructura del simulcasting, que el sábado es el día más importante de carreras, el miércoles es el segundo día más importante y el resto de los días tal vez no son tan importantes, y que la estructura se divide en Australia A, que habitualmente es un hipódromo de elite, Australia B, Australia C y Australia D. Y de esa manera se reparten los horarios para poder estar todos dentro del simulcasting todas las semanas, por lo menos una vez a la semana. Les cuento, Matthew empezó, o sea, también relató los Juegos Olímpicos y también relató el abierto de Australia de tenis. Y la pregunta va a ser, ¿qué prefiere? Porque igual yo ya sé la respuesta, porque su pasión es justamente los caballos de carrera. ¿Qué prefiere? Tell me about these options. What do you prefer? Australian Open Olympic Games or Melbourne Cup?
It's a very hard question. I must say, definitely the Melbourne Cup, and the reason being is and you would understand, Sebastian, as well as a man who commentates on racing, that when you commentate a horse race, you're on your own. You are singularly on your own. You have no one else to assist you. So when I commentate the Melbourne Cup, the listening audience, not just in Australia, but around the world, is estimated to be about 20 million people. And I'm on my own. So I feel that that's like a big achievement. The Olympic Games is fantastic. And they're a great spectacle. The Australian Open tennis I really love, and I find it's a different type of commentary. It's more analytical than an actual call. So for that reason, and I'm very biased, but horse racing's my number one love. So Melbourne Cup.
Bueno, por supuesto, entre las tres opciones se inclinó por la Melbourne Cup y él dice que también es un gran desafío. Porque en el relato de las carreras de caballos uno está solo, a diferencia de lo que pasa en los Juegos Olímpicos y en el tenis, donde siempre tiene el comentarista, que es el que apoya. En este caso está solo, que es un gran orgullo para él poder ser la voz de la Melbourne Cup, y obviamente su amor o su romance más fuerte es con las carreras de caballos. I got another questions from the people. Do you call only at Melbourne or do the season in another race course, Matthew?
Yeah, no, I'm in Melbourne the whole time. We race. I'll probably do 130 meetings a year, and they're on all the time. So I'm actually missing meetings this month whilst I'm here. So always in Melbourne, and it literally is. If I was to call in Sydney, it would actually be with a completely different television network. So Melbourne's my home, and Melbourne keeps me very busy. I would work at 3 race meetings a week, and if I was to do other states, it was basically the main meetings in Sydney and Brisbane and Adelaide and Perth all run at the same time on a Saturday, so I couldn't be in more than one place. So Melbourne for me.
Cuando le preguntaba sobre si trabaja en otros lugares, además de Melbourne, decía que hay 130 días de carreras en Melbourne y que es muy difícil para él poder estar en otro lugar, que a veces está en Sydney para otro canal, pero bueno, que habitualmente para él es Melbourne. This is a lot of questions. You are a big hit, Matthew. You are a big hit, but this is for me.
Exhausting for you.
No. It's a pleasure for me. This is my question, my key question. I don't do this question only for this streaming because I see an interview about you, and this is a story because I'm sorry, and the story is. You call for your mom when you are a child. Tell me the inspiration about your mom and all this career for you, because you are a trademark in horse racing world, and this is proud for your mom for sure. Let me translate the question. Esta es la pregunta que yo le quería hacer, que se la quería hacer desde el sábado. En una entrevista le hablaba de que la inspiración para relatar fue su mamá cuando empezó, y que seguramente su mamá sentiría muchísimo orgullo. Right now, I let you, Matt.
So as I was saying, with the listening audience for the Melbourne Cup is so large, not just listening to it live, but listening to it in replay later, that if I was to think about that when the race was on, I probably would be too nervous to call the race. So I always imagined that I just call it to my mum listening at home. So I'm literally calling it to one person, and that sort of helps relax me really, and which is fantastic. Unfortunately, and very sadly, I lost my mum about 4 months ago, and but I still call for her. And she's listening. She'll be listening. But no, it's something I've always thought of, because I'm sure you're the same, Sebastian. When you're working to a big audience, you tend not to think about it, because it would make you too stressed, too anxious. So I tend to do that. I stay in my little box in my cabin when I'm calling, and I just imagine that I'm describing it to my mum, and that's the best way I can do the job.
I ask this question because I do the same for my lost mom, and was very emotional. Listen this story for me. So this was very important, the question. Su respuesta fue que cuando empezó a relatar la Melbourne Cup, hay tanta gente en el país que escucha el relato, ya sea por televisión como por radio, que él se iba a poner muy nervioso si pensaba en esa cantidad de gente. Entonces él lo que hacía era concentrarse en que solo la estaba escuchando su mamá. Entonces se concentraba en solo una persona, y eso lo ayudó muchísimo a la hora de poder concentrarse. Bueno, su mamá falleció hace 4 meses, pero él todavía relata por su mamá. Así que this is a nice story, Matt. Thank you very much for share. Bueno, preguntarle qué opina de la actividad en general actualmente. No, es muy difícil que me la conteste, Hugo, porque no estuvo tanto tiempo acá. Y teniendo en cuenta las distintas etapas del Tour que encuentra de Australia, do you think Australia is in the top moment? Is it in a good moment about horse racing, because it's one of the biggest countries?
Yeah, I think we've got our challenges, just like Argentina and just like other parts of the world. I would say that the 2 jurisdictions at the moment that are very strong are France and Japan. They've probably got the best horses in Japan. But our racing, for all of its challenges, is still popular. And people like to bet, like to wager in Australia. It's a bit of an Australian tradition to have a bet on a Saturday particularly. So yeah, I think we're going okay, but like everything, there's so many sports now. When I was a kid, there were 3 sports in Australia: horse racing, football and cricket. And now there's so many, there's basketball and gridiron, and there's so much competition. So it's just the world we live in. But racing's still strong. We've got some great horses, great jockeys, and we're not going to probably be as strong as Great Britain or France or Japan, but we have a very professional sport.
Rugby is 4th.
Rugby's big in certain states, yeah. So Sydney and Brisbane, those 2 cities particularly. Rugby league is very strong, and rugby union is also very strong in those states as well. And then the other states of Victoria, South Australia, Western Australia, Australian football.
Bueno, él dice que sobre la pregunta de si está Australia en auge o en qué momento está de la actividad, él dice que está en un buen momento, que en los 3 deportes principales que hay en Australia son el cricket, el fútbol y el fútbol es soccer. Matthew, sí, yes.
No, it's our own football, Australian
football. Australian football. Okay. I think about that. Dice que es el fútbol americano, el fútbol australiano, el cricket y las carreras de caballos, pero que por estar en todo el país es que las carreras de caballos todavía tienen un auge muy popular. Matthew, tell me your favorite Melbourne Cup call to share with the people, please.
Well, I must say, I've had some very interesting Melbourne Cups. I never ever thought that I would call the Melbourne Cup to nobody. Have no crowd in the COVID year. We had a very interesting Melbourne Cup in 2019 with a 5-way finish. And I thought this year's Melbourne Cup with Robbie Dolan winning the Melbourne Cup was just unbelievable. It was such a surprise result and such a great story. So I think they were probably my favourites. I'd say this year, actually. I think this year's result with Robbie Dolan, the punters didn't like it because it was a rough result, but it was such a great result for the race. And I think everybody in Australia was very happy for a young jockey like Robbie Dolan to win the Melbourne Cup.
So, le voy a contar, I'm crazy. I'm crazy right now with the
Not
two.
Not at all. You're doing a great job.
No. My Spanish didn't exist right now, but I need to translate anyway. A veces me pierdo con el inglés y con el español a la vez. Le pregunté cuál es su Melbourne Cup relatada preferida para poder compartirla con ustedes, así que me acaba de decir que la Melbourne Cup de 2024, the Melbourne Cup 2024. So let me, Matthew, show to the people. Lo vamos a escuchar a Matthew Hill relatando la edición 2024 de la Melbourne Cup, que fue justamente la de este año, con una historia muy interesante. Así que no solo lo escuchan relatar el Gran Premio Carlos Pellegrini, sino también su carrera. Van a ver que hay muchísimos anotados, lo difícil que es, y los nombra al cruzar el disco todos del primero al último. Matt, I tell the people, you are extraordinary when you call the first to the last when you cross the line. So the people pay attention to this detail. Así que lo vamos a escuchar a Matt. Así que Matt, the one and only Matt Hill with the call of the Melbourne Cup 2024, para que la gente lo pueda escuchar relatar esta carrera. No se asusten porque tienen que esperar hasta el último momento para ver el final. Así que lo estamos poniendo en este momento y vamos justamente con la carrera. Ay, qué terrible que es esto. Odio esta computadora con el alma. Vamos.
Who's won the race over the last 2 years. The 164th running of the Lexus Melbourne Cup, and the field is set to go. Ready to go, and they're racing. Trusting you towards the inside, broke away well with Akita Sushi, just fine, sharp and smart. And from the deep also Land Legend is showing some speed and intent. They come across towards the inside, very wide is Circle of Fire, using plenty of the track in the early stages. 600 metres to go on the first round, Just Fine is sliding across to lead the Cup field. From Land Legend, mostly cloudy, Akita Sushi next on the inside. Circle of Fire progresses around them deeper, and then Fancy Man, Sharp and Smart, and Zardozi tucked away on the rails. Out deeper is Valiant King around Interpretation. Then came Manzois the Fence from Kovalika, Trusting You, Knight's Choice, Vauban 3 wide, the map around at 4 deep. Warp Speed next the fence, and then came One Smooth Operator, St George Positivity, Buckaroo, second last Absurd, and Sea King from Barrier 1 has gone back to last. A lap to go with 2,300 metres to run, and the leader is Just Fine with Circle of Fire the outside, putting a little bit more speed in the race at the 2,200 metres, and now perches outside the leader. Land Legend a length and a half away third, and they get clear. 3 lengths Akita Sushi and Mostly Cloudy. They're 2.5 to Fancy Man, Zardozi, 2 lengths Sharp and Smart. A length away is Manzois, followed by Interpretation. Then Trusting You on the inside of Valiant King as they make their way past the 1,700 metres. 2 further back in the field is Kovalika, Warp Speed, and then came the map out 3 wide, tracked by Vauban. Then Knight's Choice Positivity, a length and a quarter away. Then in the field is One Smooth Operator as they run by the 1,550. Well back is Absurd on the inside of St George, and then Buckaroo, and Sea King is last in the Lexus Melbourne Cup. 1,400 metres to run. Just Fine in front at an even in speed by a length and a quarter. Land Legend and Circle of Fire. Akita Sushi next on the inside of Mostly Cloudy. A length and a half Zardozi with Every Hope on the inside of Fancy Man. A length away to Manzoy Sharp and Smart, then Trusting You. Further back at the 1200 metres, Interpretation. 2 lengths to Warp Speed. Then came Valiant King, who's losing a little bit of ground. Passed by the map, then Kovalika Positivity. Vauban is being shuffled back as this field string right out now at the 950. The leaders have put the foot down towards the back. Absurd One Smooth Operator is about 20 off the lead. Then came Buckaroo about to get going from St George and Sea King. Just Fine is the leader. Coming down towards the 700 metres by a length and a half to Land Legend. 2 lengths away, Circle of Fire, Akita Sushi. Zardozi next on the inside, waited with Fancy Man under pressure. Then came Mostly Cloudy, Manzoyce. Buckaroo sweeping up around the outside, about 6 off the lead, followed by Vauban. Land Legend goes to the front with Akita Sushi on the outside. Then Zardozi back behind those, Circle of Fire, Fancy Man, and from a long way back, Buckaroo. It's Akita Sushi. Zardozi a length away on the inside, wearing it down. Akita Sushi grabbed by Zardozi. Knight's Choice is coming through at any old price, and Warp Speed as well. Zardozi grabbed by Knight's Choice and Warp Speed coming at it. Knight's Choice, Warp Speed, they hit the line. It's a photo finish. Knight's Choice, I reckon's one from Warp Speed in a photo. What a magnificent finish to the Cup. Zardozi in a photo for third with Akita Sushi. Absurd. Then Circle of Fire next to finish in the race. Land Legend, Fancy Man, Sharp and Smart, Kovalika. Sea King, Positivity, Trust in You, Manzoyce, One Smooth Operator. Interpretation back behind those horses. Valiant King, Buckaroo, the map, Vauban, well back in the field, then towards the end, Mostly Cloudy, with also St George and Just Fine at the tail of the field, and Knight's Choice is the winner. Robbie Dolan for John Simons and Sheila Laxon. It is a rank outsider. Knight's Choice has won the Lexus Melbourne Cup.
This is for you.
It was that was very nice to see again, Sebastian. It was such a great race. The thing about the Melbourne Cup is what some of your listeners probably don't realise is that in Victoria, we have actually a public holiday for the Melbourne Cup. It's a great way of promoting the race. It's been a tradition. We're actually a very young country in Australia. We're only about 200 years old, and we have this tradition where we stop for a horse race. So it's such a great thing. And the idea of the Melbourne Cup is a little bit different to, say, the Carlos Pellegrini. The Melbourne Cup being a handicap is that every horse should be able to win. And for that horse to win, it was $100. It was a complete outsider. So it was, and the story of the jockey, he last 2 years competed in singing competitions on television, and he wouldn't be in our top 100 jockeys, but to come out and win our great race was just sort of what the Melbourne Cup is all about.
Haciéndolo de atrás para adelante, en la traducción, es que la Melbourne Cup es un handicap, donde el handicapper tiene que asegurarse de que todos los caballos tengan chances. El jockey que ganó no es ni siquiera un jockey dentro de los 100, por lo que terminó siendo una gran sorpresa, ni siquiera por haber estado alguna vez en este tipo de escenas. Y también lo que decía era que, a diferencia de lo que pasa en el Pellegrini, la Melbourne Cup está ubicada en épocas de vacaciones, donde a partir del feriado también hace que la gente justamente se sume y sea un espectáculo tan memorable como ese. Matt, bueno, let me say to the people my question. Él me decía que solo relata con binoculares, todo ese malón solo con binoculares, y está la imagen del dron, que ahí nos escribía Luca Di Claudio sobre el dron. Mi pregunta es, ¿qué tanto lo ayuda el drone y cómo hace para relatar solo con binoculares, que es algo que acá se perdió? Here in Argentina, Matt, callers didn't use so much the binoculars. One question, the drone help you or not? And the second question, how do you practice to this long field, this big field, only with binoculars? Tell me, please.
Yeah, so the drone shots, as you say, are very interesting because we very rarely get them. We only get them for those big races. So I try to look at them and see if they help. They're a little bit too far away. So my binoculars, I trust my binoculars because there's no power on them. You just use them and they can't let you down, really. So it's very simple, just a pair of binoculars on a stand, and I'm just looking into them the whole time. And because I do it so often, I would call 30 races a week with them. I'm so used to it now. The TV shots are good, but they're not as good in Australia as other countries. I know the English use television monitors to call a lot, but they have bigger tracks than us. So we very much rely on our binoculars. It's always been our style. And I don't think that's ever going to change.
Me dice Matt que el dron está a veces muy arriba y que la mayoría de las veces no lo ayuda tanto, y que sobre su uso con los binoculares es que él relata aproximadamente 30 carreras por semana, y que justamente el uso de los binoculares es algo que nunca te miente, y los binoculares nunca te van a dejar a pata. Por utilizar una traducción en argentino, y que justamente el detalle es poder verlos, que él sabe que en Inglaterra las transmisiones son muy buenas y que por eso muchos de los relatores se fijan en la tele. En el caso de él todavía prefiere hacerlo con binoculares. Matt, I got a lot of questions for you from the people or for myself, but I let you to rest because tomorrow will be flying to Australia. So le digo a la gente, I say the people, que yo tengo un montón de preguntas para hacerle, que ustedes también mandan un montón de preguntas, pero él mañana se está yendo a Australia, así que obviamente lo vamos a dejar descansar. Martín Valle, Martín Valle send un crack.
Oh,
Martin, you are a crack. It's something like the best horse in the world is a crack. So Martin Valle.
Oh, that's very nice. Well, it was lovely meeting Martin today. What a great ride. And I said to Martin today, to win 3 of the last 4 Carlos Pellegrinis, he's quickly on his way to becoming a living legend. And what a lovely young gentleman. So I'll be watching from afar, Martin, and all the very best.
Send the picture to Martin because he angry. He's very angry if you don't send the picture with him.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
And Sareb from Uruguay said, say hi to Robbie Dolan. He's a great jockey and a great singer, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so Robbie, great. Yeah, I will for sure, Zareb. Robbie, obviously a great jockey. He's won our great race, but he's a very, very, very good singer, and has been on our reality TV shows and has performed at the racetracks before. He is excellent. So I think Robbie's got probably a better career as a singer than a jockey, believe it or not.
Bueno, le escribían de Uruguay y bueno, le dije que le mandara saludo a Robbie Dolan y dice, obviamente en gracia, que salió de un reality show. Yo vi un poco la historia ahora que lo dice Matt, que dice que es un buen jockey, pero que seguramente va a ser una muy, muy, muy mejor carrera como cantante. Thank you very much for staying with me at late night. Thank you for visit Buenos Aires, Matt. I hope you're back as soon as possible. You are going to Australia with my friend Tucho. So take care.
Yes, I have to talk to Tucho and Sebastian. If we can ever get you to Australia and commentate the Melbourne Cup in Spanish, we will certainly do that. But it's been an absolute joy Sebastian. It really has. Thank you so much for looking after me, and I feel like I've made a lifelong friend. So I'll be in touch, my friend. Thank you.
Of course, rest well and fly well. We see you soon later, or maybe 2 months. No, not more. Yeah, too long. Bye, Matthew.
Bye. Bye.
Fue Matthew Hill, justamente con